We'll go to past minutes. Receive these ahead of time. So I don't know if there is anything anybody wanted to add. Any questions? Check that through. Yes.
I move to accept the minutes.
A second?
I have some problems. First one,
Hang on just 1 second, so, and then discussion.
all right.
Yes.
When we just started, I made a comment that the old business was not up there from September, and it should have been, and that's not in the minutes, and it should be, because the member discussed an issue about the minutes, so that's going to be added.
Let me just take a look here, because it was covered under the,
Request might be made by Mr. McLaughlin to the
right, yeah, yeah.
DLC to
Right.
3A of September minutes.
No, that was for the DLC to be added to the thing, but also old business was completely gone, except for the forum, and we had, I think, 11 old items that should be, they're still open and still being addressed.
Right, and John, as we've explained before, the item under section, let me figure out where it is, it's just, there's like 7 pages here. Where I referenced the, under the old agenda, yeah.
4I.
Yeah, sorry, E4I, on page, I'll number it next time.
Proceeding
Second to
for-
last page, I think.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure it out. E4I. Where'd you find that?
Right here.
Oh, it's on the second page.
Second to last.
Right, the E4I on the minutes that were, or the agenda that was there before, referenced just like it does now, the see last month's agenda, which is now,
So we didn't accept any of this, so it's irrelevant, because I made that comment whether we accepted. I mean, we're going over these today, supposedly. So
Right.
none of this is in effect right now, so.
right, because they've all been tabled. Right. They've all been
Right.
tabled
so
until we get to that
So it's
item.
been tabled, so this has to be on there, because I mentioned that in the last meeting.
Right, and it's on here under E4I.
No, it's not, because I mentioned in the beginning, old business is not mentioned here, the other items. And we tabled this stuff here, so it's irrelevant, because you voted to table it, so it wasn't discussed. So the old business from September hasn't been addressed in November now.
But it says it's going to be under the agenda here,
Yeah, no,
on the
it's,
new agenda.
right, and the agenda from last month also was this.
Right,
We
that's what we
tabled
were.
this stuff, so you're out of order.
Well, we're not,
No,
actually, we're not. The
Accurate.
agenda can switch up, John. Nothing needs to stay on the agenda, especially if we're not talking about it. So
We're talking
they're on
about
the
the
agenda under E4I, because we will eventually, when we get to it, be going through these items to see which we want to continue and which we do not want to continue. Because the commission only has so much time and can only take on so many projects. So with these, we will be going through these once we get to E4I, which was tabled from last month.
And we put things on here that were time sensitive.
And that
That's
was
what we,
Right, there was,
Now, we go back to it, things aren't time sensitive, and you say they aren't, and so on. There are things that are very time sensitive, because there's a meeting last night I was at. But my thing is, you tabled the EI with a 41 colon on the second page of this thing. And since that, I mentioned that there was a problem in being a member of the board. And since you tabled this stuff saying we'll address it later, you still have to say, I made a complaint, I made acknowledgement.
Sure, John. I'll put something on there. We'll put something into the minutes regarding old business being mentioned.
From September.
Not on the agenda,
It wasn't
however, it was on the
It's on-
agenda under E4I, so I'm not sure.
we could just say that we clarified for a member
Yeah.
where old business is located.
No, we'll add that something.
Okay.
We'll add that to
Were there any other
this one, right?
additions or?
Now, I'm looking at agenda for E4I right now, it doesn't even have that stuff on there.
E4I,
See last month's
Right.
meeting agenda for items to be reviewed.
right, and then ultimately,
I'm
I
talking
should
about
have,
the agenda right here.
That's what I'm talking about too.
All right?
See last month's agenda for items to be reviewed.
which, when we do that, John, it pulls up your last meeting that you held. as the chair, with all of these agenda items that once we get to that section, we'll be going through to evaluate whether it's something the commission can continue or something the commission wants to.
And we decide
Move
that
on
as a
from.
commission,
Right.
if things need to be voted on, they're voted on, if not, then.
But I will add that clarification to the minutes under part 2. Just below your request page, I'm going to add the LC to item 3, CA of September minutes.
So in this month's minutes will be mentioned, and I mentioned it again today.
Nope, I will update this to reflect your changes to the minutes that you want. I don't now need to put it into the new minutes. So with that,
There's a motion on this.
the motion and seconded, I just want to make sure your motion was to accept, but you want to amend your motion to accept upon the contingent on the changes? Which then I give up on the website if you do that, because this is the only change.
That-
and
Yes,
this is other
yes,
changes.
yes.
And
The change, I amend my motion to reflect what you all just discussed. Can't repeat it right now.
A second.
I still have more things to talk about.
About the minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, because we've already done with that. All right, so what's next with it?
Under 3A, I have a question. Was it posted in the town hall on the bulletin board about the forum thing?
Yes, I spoke with Kathy Curran about it. It was posted on the website and
Because I didn't see it on the bulletin board. People asked me
It-
questions.
it
It
was-
wasn't posted inside.
it was, it's fine. Is that about minutes or is that another
Well,
question about
when
something
it goes back
else?
and forth where it says things were brought up and so on, back and forth, and I asked the question about things being posted at the time, to make sure it's posted properly.
That was never mentioned at
You're
the last
you're
meeting.
saying you mentioned that at the meeting? Because that wasn't
No,
mentioned.
that was right there in the
You're
That was
mentioning it
never-
now,
You're mentioning
which
it
is-
now.
which
It
is
was never
fine.
mentioned.
Yeah.
but it wasn't mentioned for minutes, which is what we're on.
Yeah, it's not in the minutes, that I was talking about, okay.
Which you, I just want to be clear, you didn't talk about it at the last meeting. You're talking about it now, but you did not mention it at the last meeting. Which is fine.
But we're not
we were-
going
But
to
right
change the
now, we're
minutes.
just
Right,
trying
I'm
to
not-
either accept these or
We're
not
just trying to
accept
get
these.
You have
minutes.
changes to these minutes, which I have your original one that you want to change.
And the bottom one, for the motion, it was unanimous, and I voted no.
Motion for which one?
Which one?
Last, for the first page.
3A, last bullet. 11:45 day of the event, to Ms. Summer to provide a welcome announcement.
And introduce speakers and guests.
No, that's not that one. The list is right here, I have a major headache.
Yeah, that's fine, but which one are you considering changing, John? Or the one that you want me to double check, because I will check on minutes. I know.
There was one about unanimous, it wasn't, maybe they're wrong.
A letter about the parks, the harbor master.
The motions are bolded, and it tells us, I think. Is that the harbor master one, John? Because that's the only one that's left that we haven't asked you. Yet. On page 3.
I think about the letter,
About the Scituate Marina project, is that the one you mean? C on page 2 that goes over to, on page 3, in bold, the motion by Mr. Dugan.
I guess it got changed. Well, it's fine the way it is then.
Okay, so there's a motion on the table to accept the minutes
Changes.
with modifications.
Oh, wait a second, no, here it is, the last thing. This right here, I gave the information to Megan about, what is it, the Nautilus project. I gave her all the information, there's no
5C.
email.
Let's see.
Fine.
Because they didn't email, it's open with the planning board asks for advice. It's been tabled for 4 months almost. For the blueprint
So
section.
it's 4C, so yours, or 5C, so
So
that's
everything was given to
right.
me.
So item C,
Fine.
yep, and at the end of that
Oh,
conversation, when
okay,
you're handing
right.
back in the plans,
Yeah.
the discussion was that you will email her to have it added to the agenda, so we can make sure we knew exactly what was being added to the agenda. Because you were the one that received it, you were the one that's been offering,
So does he remember
Existence
that?
of that.
Okay.
well.
I did say to mention that on the agenda. I sent her an email on time. Is it on the agenda?
I didn't receive information about
Nautical.
nautical two.
When you sent the agenda out, I responded to it.
But there was, I couldn't get clarity from the email as far as what exactly you wanted to add to the agenda.
There was no plan. Did you
Oh.
send a
There was
plan to her?
nothing,
We discussed the Nautilus plan when we were here, I gave it to Megan. That's fair enough to put on the agenda to carry forward here. And then I sent an email on top of that, and I got the didn't say anything.
no, I asked for, what we discussed was to get an email from the individual that had approached you, so that I would have their contact information, so that I could reach out to
The
them.
planning board approached the commission in a mail slot, saying that we need to review and questions. And here is some parking in regards to the putting a,
But this is a private restaurant. It's not something that we've done in the past,
It's not on the agenda now anyway,
and it's
so
not on the agenda now.
it's not on the minutes, so.
And if you still want to put me in touch with somebody that you spoke with in regards to those, the plans, then you can do that before our next meeting. We can put
the
it on the
planning
agenda.
board is viewing it, they want information from us. They were asking for advice from the architect, from our board, as to look at things in regards to parking.
Okay, do you have an email about that, or a contact
It was in
person,
the
or?
page, it was with the stuff I gave you.
I will look through that, and if I could find an email and a contact person to get
It wasn't
clarification.
an email again, it was what they gave
Okay.
to several
Maybe
parties.
just contact the planning board too.
Oh, when we go on to our agendas, I think we'll figure out who contacts whom. I mean, the planning
The planning
board
board
will probably.
had-
And if that's something that we
Yeah.
actually, if that's something that we want to take on as a commission as well.
Right. So John, anything else?
That's it.
Motion was made, what's second, which did you?
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Okay, so we had the disability forum on November 4th. I think it was fantastic. And you, Athena, worked amazingly hard, and Linda and Michelle especially, really put 110% into it. And it was
We had some great.
I think the number of people that came out was phenomenal.
And the
For a
providers were
Saturday.
very
positive.
Yeah, yeah,
The providers really like
Yes.
meeting each other. It
absolutely.
was nice.
There was a lot of conversation.
Yeah, a lot of wonderful connections were made.
Mhm.
It was very helpful, and I think that we also learned a lot that we can do for the next year.
Well done.
Yeah.
And I hope maybe we can, I moved to plan for a
Excuse me,
second
I'm recording
annual,
this, just so you know.
excuse me?
I'm recording this, just so you know.
Okay, and so is, you're
It's
recording
being,
too?
told.
I know, okay. I moved to plan for the second annual Scituate accessibility event in next fall. I think someone suggested from town hall, oh, you should do one in the spring, one in the fall, and I said, no, that's too much, but maybe a little bit before November,
Mhm.
so that we're not, maybe we can try to figure out a date and not.
And there's not so many other things going
Right.
on. Yes.
But I moved to plan another one for next year.
Idea?
Well, second.
All in favor? Opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously.
Can I ask you about one particular member that's not here?
Yes.
Is Lane coming? Do we know?
No, she resigned.
Resigned.
Oh, she resigned. Okay. Can we make that a discussion? Just so it can be, I mean, well, I don't, no, yeah, we should, because I know when, at least in the old minutes, I know when other people resigned, it was mentioned in there, so I'll
Okay.
make a mention of it. So we're leaving as, under the, non-inclusive anticipated.
May I ask, may I ask a question about the event before we move on? So we have expenses.
Yes.
And Nancy Holt drew up purchase orders for the things that I ordered, some through the water department, where
Mhm.
I have actions, and some that I ordered personally. She did say that anybody who had receipts, if you wanted to send them to her, she would draw up the purchase orders. Did she say that?
Yeah.
Because everything has to have a PO.
I wasn't gonna give my receipt because it was food, so
Okay.
I'm considering it just a.
Okay. But there were balloons.
Oh, that was Megan, right?
But if there are any receipts, then we have to vote to accept these or approve
Right.
these before they can get paid out.
Okay.
And,
And, I have this from the police detail.
oh yeah, she's
So-
got a PO for that in here. That's great.
So that can be
Thursday.
attached to it.
And it
Yeah.
says the name of the person who this is getting turned into.
Nancy Holt.
She's the accountant, town accountant.
Those two things.
Holt, H-O-L-T.
Thank you, I'm like, full?
H-O-L-T.
Okay, perfect.
And she's got that one.
You want to just put that in the file, just so I don't.
Sure, I think that's the carbon of the,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
yeah.
Right.
So what I understood was.
So we have to,
We have to
majority of
agree
the
that one
members.
person can approve these, she suggested you as the chairperson.
Right, but she also said, I got a copy of it, she said, these all have to just, what does it say? I have reports of, a majority of members need to sign the invoices in order for them to be paid. Additionally, the COD may want to consider appointing one member to sign invoices on behalf of the COD and then report back at the next meeting. So first, the majority could just sign these,
Okay.
all of us. And then after that, we can vote, or we can vote before, and that person signs it, however you want to do it.
I don't care, I think it's more efficient if one person is signing
Okay.
off
So-
on that, it's fine.
Well, question, Lorraine didn't, when they would do things, would say you have to let them know like a month in advance and bring things, because you gotta bring receipts, you gotta let them know what's due, and you don't just all of a sudden spend money and ask to be
No,
okay.
we talked.
Right, no, we
Approved
told you got
a
permission, we
budget.
voted.
We had a budget that we approved.
We approved the budget last time, and we actually didn't even meet the budget. We're way under the budget. And we approved that money.
You had
And,
spoken to Nancy in advance of that.
right, because I needed to find out how to do it as a
Where to pull
treasurer.
it from,
I needed
right.
to figure out how they wanted to, how I needed to get the money, the okay for the money.
Right.
So, do you want me to, I'll move to have Megan be the signer for the funds, for the receipts, to sign invoices on behalf of the COD.
A second.
Here, you can quote this.
No, I don't need that, I'm good. I just need to keep up, that's all.
Yeah,
So, who seconded
There
it?
you go.
Linda,
And then I can do that.
all in favor?
Receipts.
No, you have to do that.
I'm happy to bring them,
Right, she said you can bring them back.
okay. I can do that.
So just sign, there's three.
Take them.
I think it's all voted. They're all December right now.
No, we're still on the disability
form.
form, so those are the expenses linked to that.
Okay, so there's,
I just asked one, do you have correspondence on here at all?
But,
No, is there a section for correspondence? Because I don't know where I'm supposed to fit on the agenda. And I sent you a letter about a month ago,
right,
asked for it to be discussed at this meeting, and I don't see it here. And I'm just wondering how long I'm gonna have to wait.
well, we have to decide, don't we, what is going on the agendas? We haven't,
No, but-
we have our
Well,
mission.
customarily, when walk-ins come in, for
Well,
walk-ins,
it's not even a walk-in, it's just, I sent a letter, did you guys all receive the letter? Because it's lengthy.
Well, it's
And I-
not, it wasn't part
So
of
I'd
the,
like to just get through this first and then maybe defer to our appointing authority about things like that because. I'm
Okay,
just
because there
not-
should be a way to write you a letter.
Right, I'm just not entirely comfortable, so I'm gonna defer after we get through this.
so on the, so
We're
can
still on
we take a,
disability forum.
right, can we take, I move to have you appointed as the signing authority.
I second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Sign doing it for what?
Sign off on the invoices for the expenses for the front.
I agree.
And for, and secondary for future expenses.
Yes,
And then I
That-
come
that are
back and
agreed
discuss.
Right.
yes.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Letter to the Conservation Commission regarding Western Park. So at the last meeting, we agreed that I would send a letter to the Conservation Commission.
We're gonna have to wait till the end of the meeting. I'm just asking because
If you're in a crunch, then yeah,
I
absolutely.
would rather, if you're not gonna,
We're not going to probably discuss it tonight, so.
okay,
if-
because I was here to be able to answer questions.
Okay, so that's probably not going to happen, but I'm deferring to our
If
appointing.
it's on the agenda, then you have to address it, otherwise it's an open meeting issue. And if there's correspondence you want to put on for the next agenda, you're free to do so. And I'm not sure how the correspondence comes in, it should go through town hall.
It
Town
did.
hall should then disseminate it to the commission.
It went
So
through
if it's
the
not on
town
right
clerk.
now, I would say put it on the next agenda, and then you can go from there.
I want you all to know, I sent this on October 17th. I sent it via the town clerk. I had a phone conversation with you the day before about the contents of the letter. I traveled 3,000 miles to be able to answer questions about this with you face to face.
Right, and I'm just really not comfortable at all, just because.
But I
because
just
there's
want you to
litigation
have-
and I don't want to be involved. I really don't.
All right, what, the
I
thing
just
that
don't-
I'm
I
You
don't wanna
can't
have
get
an-
into
We
it.
can't-
You
I'm
can't
not,
get into the
I'm
letter
not.
that you're beginning to talk about.
No, I'm not.
They're
I'm
going to take
talking
the
about
time,
that
excuse
there's
me,
a
let me
letter.
just put
And
point
you-
of fact order, please. They received correspondence.
They
This
didn't.
commission, well, according to you, you sent it to the town. If this has not been disseminated to the commission,
Right,
then the
that's a
commission
problem.
cannot talk about it.
Right,
So they can plan it for a future date,
okay.
and that can be
Here's a
arranged.
copy of the letter, you guys can make copies. I sent it via the town clerk. Okay, you all should have gotten copies of this letter.
Okay,
And
so
the root
I
of
don't know.
everything-
Was it to the
I
town
don't know.
clerk to address the
Yes.
commission of disabilities?
Yes, it was to be it was to be communicated at this meeting
It
specifically.
does not necessarily, you do not dictate
I
when
know,
your letter is to be
but I
heard or not
asked-
heard.
I
Whether or
asked
not
for it to
you are-
be
It doesn't
distributed.
matter, that is the discretion of the chair of the
And
Commission
I
on
will
Disabilities.
say,
That is not
John,
your discretion.
respectfully,
It doesn't
if
matter.
you had actually read the letter yourself, or read a
Look,
conciliatory agreement,
this has nothing to do with the litigation between you and the Mass Commission of Discrimination, okay? If that's what this letter's about, it is not germane here. And if it's
this
something
letter is
else, then that's
stating that
what
I'm
the
not
commission will
suing
deal
over
with.
Jenkins, which I'm not.
That
And
is
that was
fine.
reported by this commission that I was,
Well,
and I'm not.
Again, you cannot start asking the commission to imply or infer anything if they have not reviewed it.
I
Your
know, I
objection
asked,
review
what I'm
will set it
saying
up.
is that,
But you
how
cannot
do you
send that
send a
agenda.
letter to a group and get it sent to you? You guys should have received it.
And they'll set
We're
it
not
up
a
for
party
discussion
to,
at a
we're
future
not a
date.
party
It's
to
not the
litigation.
litigation, it's not the litigation.
I understand that,
You
but
know?
then we're not a party to this, so this is something
But
that you
you
address
can't-
with the people that your lawyer addresses with the town that you're working with, not with the Commission on Disabilities. We're not,
And if it's regarding Jenkins.
It's
that's-
not.
Okay, it's not regarding Jenkins. What it,
Right, and what has been said is that you can't discuss Jenkins because it's under litigation.
So they
Jenkins
don't
is
know
not
what you've
under
written because they
litigation.
haven't
well, it
reviewed
technically
it.
is with the
They
Access
need-
Board. It's with the Access Board.
Right.
It's all
And that's
connected.
what the Access
All
Board.
right,
So
well,
the
it's not,
commission-
it's not.
And I'll be honest with you, if that's what this is about, is clearing that, we said something about litigation.
No, this is about the fact that there's a school bus that was available all last year
Right.
that my son was never allowed to ride on. And I went in that selectmen meeting and I thanked you from the bottom of my heart, and that's recorded. You can go see it. I thanked you in September for approving the money so that my 6th grade son could be on a bus.
excuse
with
me,
his
I have a
parents.
point of order.
No, I'm sorry, you don't need to hear this.
No,
No,
this
we're-
is not your.
No, you guys,
If
Whoever
somebody
got
wants
access
that,
to the bus.
You're missing, you're out of point of
You've
order.
moved.
Fine, that's fine. I'll be very happy to leave.
Nobody's asking you to
Okay.
leave. You're welcome to stay, but you
You know
have to
what?
abide by the rules.
No,
of the
but you guys
commission.
need to
You
do
can't
something about the
control-
bus.
This is not you. I'm sorry that you folks have to confront that. Unfortunately, people do not want to abide by the decorum of how you run a meeting, and unfortunately, that is unacceptable.
I'm gonna recommend we take a 5-minute breather.
5 minutes? Continue, I think we were talking about the letter to the Conservation Commission regarding the West End Park. So they requested a letter at the last meeting. We voted unanimously to support that project. And this was the letter that I sent, went to the commission, and went to the planning board.
Fabulous, that goes in your minutes. How did you attach it to your minutes?
No, I'm just gonna, it's, I'll just generally capture the idea of it, that the letter that was discussed previously was done.
Do you save that letter in the minutes? Is that how it, no?
You keep it in file with the,
No, I
Just
mean,
have a file.
yeah, I think that she
I don't have it.
has it electronically, and
Right.
the commissions have it, so, and she captured basically when the meeting was and all that stuff, so that's good.
And I don't, so with a situation like that, do we even keep something like that on the agenda then?
No.
Because what we've done what we needed to do, so we just,
Right, so that item technically
That's closed.
is removed because it's
Okay.
closed, you've closed that loop there, and we've already offered to them to come back if they want.
Right, and then.
so if they
the-
want to come back at a future date.
Yep.
Okay.
Right, so that's off the agenda.
So let me just, do we want to, we don't need to accept it because we already made that motion last
No,
time. right?
you
So this is
just
just
showed
more
it to us.
discussion. And distribute, and show.
So that's off.
It is done.
So now the next thing that we had, there was a question about the Scituate beach access at Minot.
and it's going on. As long as it's made clear that when they start doing things, they include us, like
Yeah,
that
we
of the
talked
trail,
about that.
once you touch something, that's being compliant.
Um,
Not giving a full, access to the whole thing, saying we endorse everything they do.
We talked,
Again.
so, so last time we had talked about this, so
And
we weren't really
From my
clear.
understanding was that Michelle was going to try to get
Care,
a specific person, I can't remember the name, to come to here to talk about it, or get a formal request of,
Oh, Karen
Good.
Canfield.
Yeah.
because she, I think Michelle got an email and was going
Right.
to try to coordinate that to get it
Right.
to the rest of the members, and I'm not sure she did, especially if she came down.
Right, she was gonna have Karen Canfield come and talk to us.
okay.
So I guess the question is, since no one is here to talk about this, do we table this or do we take it off the agenda? And when that person, when the Scituate Beach, whatever it is, the Scituate Beach Group, Commission, Association wants to go back on the agenda, then they ask to be on the agenda.
Well,
You know, I'm
this, so
fine
this was a
tabling.
hot issue, it always has been back and forth with people, near minded. When it was coming to election time, that was part of things going on.
I
I looked
know.
at it 7 months prior. If you remember, as the meeting ended, I said there were some issues in regards to the pathway. It has two kinds of services, half the pathway going parallel is cement or stone, and the other half is smooth cement. You can't have two different services. And the issue was you have so much access. And I try to recommend that if we fix the handicap part where the parking is, and ask, if we get a variance for the other ones, as long as one is completely compliant.
But I don't know that
There's a 7-year special.
no, I
And they're
understand.
working on that, and maybe that will go in effect because it should be mechanically compliant. That's the 7-year special.
But there was a specific question that was raised to Michelle, which was brought up at the last meeting, which is why it's on the agenda.
Mhm.
However, Michelle not being here to tell us exactly what was brought up, which she was gonna pull together for this meeting. My motion is to table it until
Yes.
next month,
Michelle said
so
that she
Michelle
was
can
asked
pull it
out.
together and bring what question was raised to her,
Right,
to the commission as a board, so we can decide what to do with it.
so let's talk about it at next, let's put it over to next meeting, table to next meeting.
I'm gonna make a motion just because,
Done.
Second? Motion, give me seconds.
Second.
All in favor?
The
say-
motion's to table it for the next.
Correct.
to give Michelle time to
Thank
pull
you for
together
that.
the.
Good.
John,
All in favor?
Sure.
Do you vote?
she'll call the vote, and then you can vote. Was that, all in favor, was
All in favor.
unanimous?
Right.
No
Any
one
opposed? Okay. So motion carries unanimously. Um,
Oh, this is something.
That's the Scituate Marina project. Okay. So this, I was going to speak with the harbor master, Stephen Moan.
No.
Okay, so I did. And he said, we just talked over the phone, they're planning to put in an 80-foot gangway. He said that the plans were submitted to Bob Vogel, that they have an engineering letter that they were going to send to the commission. And that he had spoken with Jeff at one point.
From the MOD.
From when you were doing that, from, right, correct. So I just said if there's anything we can do to be helpful, we're here. If there's anything you would want us to help you out with there.
Okay, so when he said he was going to send it to the commission of a letter, what would he send to us and why?
If it's an engineering.
Probably
Wouldn't he have to?
Probably to further explain what they're doing there.
But can I ask you, is that something that we, as a commission, have they asked us to be involved with it? And so it should
Well, this
be
is
on
kind of
the
like-
agenda? I guess this is what,
It's a walkway.
This is kind of-
I understand,
This is
I
required
understand.
to make sure
There's a
that-
project happening, and
And it's a town project,
it's
it's
a
not a.
town project, they're doing
So-
some of the marine, some work there,
right,
and there was questions about accessibility there.
right.
That was fielded, I think, when John was chair. It kind of sat on the agenda for a little bit, so to close it out, or to figure out exactly where we stood,
Mhm.
Michelle, we at the last meeting voted for Michelle to reach out to Stephen to figure out,
Megan.
yes, sorry, Megan, sorry, Megan, to reach out to Stephen to figure out where it is and what's happening with it.
And if they
Well,
needed
point of order.
anything from
Right,
us
anything
at
else
this
from us.
point in time.
Right.
Point of order, didn't have another one.
But,
I spoke to him, keep it open, talking about game plans to someone, and their issue of 50 feet long and going so past the ratio. There are other sessions that I've gone to, and I'm trying to forward information to him, so it's still open.
well,
Right,
so,
and this is when, and we haven't quite got to all of this yet, but this is when you, as the chair, were doing things without really having the board's approval to do it. So we were trying to get everything back onto the same page here, so we all are informed as board members. So whatever questions are raised.
I was getting information and bringing it back, he's still looking into it. And at the time, he was trying to get funds and grants to do things, supposed to figure out what.
so all that's going to happen is they're going to send it to us, but we don't have, as a commission, we don't approve it. I mean, we're not, the architects and the engineers approve it, so that's where I'm a little confused.
Well, and I think eventually, once we can get to the section E, and I think
Okay.
Linda has a great idea of how we will do that maybe at the next meeting.
Okay,
Okay.
To figure out what our role will be in that. I mean, I think it's good to be informed on what
Right.
that project's doing, because it is a town project.
right,
So, and I think John had gotten some of that information. So I think we almost already know it, it's just maybe this engineering letter might confirm it.
right.
And then, obviously you reached out for if there's any additional questions, which what was the response to that from Stephen when you said that if you need any additional assistance, was it, thank you? I mean,
Yes,
I'm assuming-
absolutely.
Okay,
Okay.
so then it's, unless we see something glaringly obvious from the
Right.
engineering thing that we think should be raised, we would then have to figure out that procedure.
So does this still need to be on the agenda since you've sort of slowed it
Yeah,
down?
Yes.
once the,
Once his
my
letter
thought it would
comes
be
in?
once the letter comes in, it would then show back up on the agenda.
Okay, well, it will then, it will show back up,
Yes,
okay,
but until then, since we're not actively working
Right.
on it and we're not actively
Okay.
being pursued,
right,
we should,
take it off,
it should be removed.
okay.
But I just want to make sure we got some of this stuff down. Okay.
Excuse me, in the last sentence, what did you decide to do?
Well, I believe the commission is deciding that we are going, since Megan has reached out to them, and they are going to eventually send us a letter, an engineering letter, that we are going to remove it from, because it's not active for us at the moment, we're going to remove it from the agenda, and if that letter comes, or if additional assistance is needed from Mr. Moon, or from the town, we would then re-add it to the agenda to be discussed at that time.
Do we have to make a motion for that?
We're not voting on anything,
Okay, all right, just one
because
minute.
we already voted for her to reach out to Mr. Moore.
Okay.
And then we take there, so.
So last time we talked about the AAB complaint for the library. And we did receive notice that it's going to litigation with the architect and with the engineer.
Do you know if the library or the town applied for a variance for the walkway, do you know, John?
I am not aware of that.
Okay,
Not saying that they did,
okay.
I'm not aware of it.
I think they're trying to get the architect and the engineer to fix it.
Okay.
So ultimately from my notes, because I don't want to necessarily dive into what the town's doing
Right,
right.
legally wise, I'm just going to say the town's pursuing remedy options
That's.
for the library.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, unless we're approached from the town, or unless somebody maybe wants you to reach out to somebody from the town to say, do we need any assistance with it? I don't think they do, because
I think
it's with
they've
the
got
access
it
board,
under
so
control, yeah.
I don't think we need to address it specifically.
Mhm.
So that's not even, I'm just.
Yeah, I think that's one thing, it can be removed from that agenda until something else comes up.
Okay.
Yeah, how did that end up on the agenda again? Was that?
So, because I did get correspondence for it.
Oh, okay, all right.
From the, from the
From
architectural
the
board.
architectural access board.
Oh, okay, all right.
And you let us
because
know.
Yes.
It was due to the fact that the town responded to them, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So that's what this.
Do we have a hearing date? No.
It's not a hearing, it's just correspondence. We'll pass them around in just 1 second, I just want to make sure I'm capturing it correctly. Town's pursuing remedy. Okay, so I'm going to vote on it. I mean, this was, you forward, did you forward, was this given to anybody else in town? Did we forward this on to?
Usually goes to the building inspector.
Should we stand for it? I can't specifically remember that one.
Will made the complaint.
I mean, I'm assuming.
You sent it to whoever you had to send it to, I remember.
Yeah.
And you showed it to us and.
That's it. Sorry, there you go. All right. Can I just ask that, or maybe we, I don't know if we do vote on it, but my suggestion would be is just to make sure that that correspondence is sent to our appointing authority, just so they, not that they aren't aware of it, because it does go to a bunch of people, but I just want to make sure that,
Yeah, I thought you did send it to them.
you probably, I think you
Do you
did.
scan?
I think you did.
No.
Mark, I have in the minutes, but can you just
Yes.
verify that? And
Yeah.
if not, just, I mean, that's standard procedure.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I think it can be removed until either further correspondence, in which it will pop back up on the agenda, or if assistance is needed.
Okay.
Just as a point, the town is aware of it because town council is involved.
No.
Right,
So
yeah.
they're being directly corresponded with, so don't,
Yeah, so I
I guess
didn't-
you don't need to worry about them. At least for that.
And there's a stamp on it that has been received by the town, so clerk has it, so.
And then we also received notice for the fine hearing for Jenkins, which that was also scanned and sent to our planning authority. So that's just another bit of correspondence we received.
Just get this
Local Disability Commission?
on.
Oh, CC.
Yeah. So I'm just
You still
bringing
want to eat
up
or
what came
no?
to me, so. Pardon?
You still want to eat?
We're actually on F now.
We're in F?
Yeah, so ultimately, from.
So who shows up at this meeting at One Ashburton Place? The complainant?
The complainant, the town.
Do we know who the complainant is?
It may have been on previous stuff. So. So I don't know if you've noticed, but they've done work to that pathway there. They've created that ramping system down to the,
Jenkins, Jenkins, yes.
so they issued a fine hearing.
The handles up now too that are ADA compliant. The handles are,
Well, in reality, I don't think they are. That's why the fine hearing's being called, but that's all right. So there's a fine hearing. So the town's, you've sent it to our appointing authority as a commission. We are done because it's in process with the appropriate entities that need to be in charge of it. So I would move at this point, or not move, but I would suggest that just like the other items, unless it reappears or someone comes to us for assistance, it is now again removed from the agenda.
We have to second.
I don't think we are, I'm just going to put in for clarity there.
Right.
Just to be. And it offers discussion too. If we can do that. That's that one.
Okay, so review of COD procedures and goals.
So, I know, since you're raising it,
Yeah.
Linda had, and you can cover if you want, kind of your idea of kind of going through one of these a meeting and really spending a good, I'm not going through it, it's Linda's idea.
Well, I just thought we tend not to get to them.
Right.
And I think they are at the root of a lot of the things that we sort of toss around as, what do we do? How do we do it? What's our responsibility? So I think if we could move one of them up to closer to the top of the agenda and maybe just set a defined period of time that we're going to spend talking about it, 20 minutes, that would be about a third of the time we have together. And I bet we can nail them or come close to nailing them and move through them pretty quickly.
I think that's a great idea.
Good idea.
Okay.
So, my thought would be we should probably have its own number. And probably right after the acceptance of minutes, we should have this
Mhm.
review of COD procedures and goals as item 3, and then old business, and then new business.
Yep.
And then my thought would also be matters not reasonably anticipated within 48 hours of meeting. That should be a section here, just in case something comes to you for the very last minute. We can raise it, have a little bit of discussion on it, and it would give an opportunity to,
So that was
you know,
matters, not-
because we don't have it there and we potentially might even be able to do it. I don't know if we even want to address the letter that was left on the table from earlier. That potentially could fall into that, but there's also discussions of where it was sent and how it was sent and all that stuff. So that maybe not be the best example. But if, for example, today you received a notice of a hearing or a complaint, you could raise it up then under
Oh,
that
right,
under the
okay.
not reasonably anticipated
Okay.
section.
so instead of using the term correspondence, use that term.
We may put in here, because I think we're going to need to, for the agenda would be something about public either participation or comment, and that's what we need to decide here, is we give the public 2 minutes to speak, 2 or 3 minutes to speak, if they so want to. And as a commission, it's just a listening for us, and we take it, and if it's something we feel needs to be added to the agenda, we can do that at the next meeting. But it gives the public input time.
What's the number 5?
So that would probably be under its own heading as well, like its own item number.
Okay.
And either, hang on one second, I just want to get my thought out before I finish. Somewhere either towards the beginning or towards the end.
And the finish?
And just take a look at it. I think select board does something similar to that.
In the past, you use number 5.
If there's been, like, space for a public comment, is that on the agenda somewhere?
What we typically do is we have like a
Entitled.
5-minute walk-in, so that people can come in. The problem is the walk-in, you can't really engage in any discussion because you can't anticipate what they're going to talk about. So just somebody, a platform to say, air a grievance or air an issue, 5 minutes, and then that's it. That's the only thing, because you got to be careful discussing something as a board without having notice on it. It's just, in, you know, the open meeting laws, and there are people out there who are just looking for you to break it so that they can report you, unfortunately.
And that happens closer to the beginning of your meeting, correct?
You can put it anywhere you want. We
Mhm.
put it at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I think we should have it at the end,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes it can delay a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, some people walk in and sometimes have this kind of like sense of entitlement, that they can do whatever they want. And you set your own agendas.
Mhm.
You know, if you have correspondence, you can put correspondence on. If you have other issues you want to, you can take things out of order and say, let's jump.
Mhm.
Because maybe sometimes you find you get stuck on certain categories right out of the gate. Skip it, go to that, I mean, we do our minutes at the end,
Mhm.
you know? We don't begin with them because they're done at the end, you know? So,
Good idea.
just a thought, you know, if it makes it easier so you can get to the meat of what you're trying to address.
Thank you, that's helpful.
And the thought would be for the public input. It's a listening session for the commission. It's not a discussion or comment.
Right.
You don't respond back. And public, you educate them on that. But look, we're going to give you a minute and a half, 2 minutes to speak. But we are not going to respond because we haven't been notified of your concerns. However, if it's important, if it's something that we feel would show up on the agenda next month, that's when it will show up on the agenda. So it's really just a listening session, but gives people an opportunity to have that speaking part. If that's what the commission wants to do.
I think that's a good idea.
It's just
I
an
think
idea.
so. So do we?
No, it's just agenda setting.
Okay, I
It's
just
a-
don't know what needs to happen
No,
for
no official action.
motion, that no official
Right,
action.
sure, I get on the top.
So we would, but we would limit it to a certain amount of time. Someone can't come in and just go on and on and on for 15 minutes when,
That would be for
15
10 minutes a
minutes.
meeting, 2 minutes per person.
What?
We have more than one category. We're talking about school, we're talking about, you know, the town hall, the park, different subjects, more different things.
Right, and
well,
also
I think we
have
need to, no, I think we need to put a limit on it because we could spend our whole,
And I just have to mention also that in 10 years, I don't think we've ever had someone
Right.
walk in and
Okay,
say, I have
good.
something.
But
Okay.
the idea is,
Placeholder.
Yeah.
the idea is, and I know larger cities even do this, that they set over, like, 10 minutes of our agenda are going to be for public input.
oh,
And each person who gets up to speak, the first come, first served, sign-ins, whatever. If we see a large group, it's first come, first served. It's 2 minutes per person, total of 10 minutes of the meeting. After that, it closes, we move on to the
Come
next
next time,
agenda.
yeah.
Good, okay.
Yeah.
We come next time.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
it's just, I know we're a large city, and we may never have somebody in here that will want to do that, but at least puts a process on
Okay.
Right.
there. That starts to
Look at
Let's just
that,
a
you're
little bit.
cooking right through summer floor.
So,
Here we go.
Understanding,
so
yeah.
that handles the public input part,
Mhm.
which, and I would suggest that members of the public who are not of the board, do not approach the board and sit with the board. They are to sit at a separate section,
I agree with you.
and we can call them when we are ready for them to discuss. So that would be my thought for process.
I like it.
for that.
Yep.
Okay. That's that. So, do we want to dive, I'm sorry.
No,
I'm ready to dive into 4E if we want. Is that something
I think that's
that
what's
we're ready
good.
to?
Yeah, I think we're halfway
How
through.
are we doing?
They're
Action.
going to start kicking us out in about 10 minutes, but I
Okay.
think that we can get through it.
I think if
No,
we
they'll
go
give
through
us
that
that
one in the
Yeah,
next
they'll
2
give
minutes. We've already done part of it, agenda setting. I took a lot of notes, I'm sure you did too, just about what to move and how to sort of arrange things.
So, just for clarification, to make sure I got my notes right, I know I said discussion of agendas, items like not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance would be added.
Mm-hmm,
There was another item, I just can't remember, there was a public input section would be added.
mm-hmm.
Limit to
Treasurer's report.
10 minutes.
Treasurer's report should be on there as well. If it's on item. Or, yeah, it's not really a business. But there was another, I thought there was one other one I tossed out there, but I may not have.
Matters not previously, or not reasonably
That's the
anticipated.
48 hour.
That was the 48 hours.
Yeah, I may not be. I may have just come up with two. And I think I did work, but I didn't. Yeah. Okay. So that's good. So we don't really need a motion on that. I don't think we do.
So what else were you thinking? I can see you thinking something.
No, so I feel like agenda setting, what about adding items to the agenda?
So, just for clarity, we don't need to officially motion to move items out of order, right? Can we move on to, and John, I'm sorry, I know you might be, I'm sorry. Can we go from 4E, like, can we jump down to a specific topic we want to talk about at this particular meeting?
Absolutely.
That's a little bit out of order, but under section E, which is,
The only time that you probably a board or commission or cannot is if you have a scheduled hearing for specified time, and I don't know if you really have that, we do, and sometimes some of the other boards, they are at a specified time because of the requirements, but other than that, you can say, let's take it out of order, let's jump down.
Okay.
You don't have to worry about motioning, and just say, let's go do it. You've already noticed it, it's already on the agenda, just set time when you get to it.
So, 3, which is, and just to make sure, we're jumping to 4.
4, 3E, no, Roman numeral 4.
Yeah, it's just, so I created it in
Adding.
Word, and then I translated it to Google Docs because I wanted it electronically for myself. And then it reformatted everything. And then when
Nice.
you transfer it back, it creates back to Word, which was fun. So, but it'll be in Google Docs, so, which means Word.
So adding, that's what you wanted to talk about.
Right,
Okay, so,
so what is the correct process so that we all understand to add an agenda item?
to add an agenda item, it needs to be, from my understanding, it needs to be raised to the chair prior to the meeting, prior to the posting. That's really the idea. If the public comes to us or public comes to you, then you can reach out to the chair. I mean, that's a conversation you can have. Agenda setting is not about, as long as not everybody's discussing it, if you're reaching out specifically to add an item to the agenda, that is definitely within the realm of communication that can happen.
Okay, so for example, Linda Hayes from Council on Aging wants to come to the December meeting to discuss coordination with us and also to discuss our next accessibility awareness event. So how do we get that on the agenda?
So we
She asked me this at the
Event.
event, and I said, well, and I think I asked you, how do we do that? And you said, we can put it on the agenda, we just shouldn't do it this week because we've got what's going on because of time. So how do was that the right thing to do? I mean, to then go to you and
so
say,
this will lead us into item 4E2, the procedures for handling technical assistance requests and referrals. So if
okay.
if an individual approaches any of the commission members with a question for whatever, and you feel you should raise it back to the chair, to say, should this show up on the agenda, and or to be discussed at the next meeting.
Right, and I did, and Megan said, we can put it on an agenda
For December.
for December. So I believe Linda's planning to be here in December.
Okay. And
So
so then
it's like
it'll be on
this is
the,
48 hours business notice.
Excuse me?
She knows. As long as it's 48 hours, probably knows we're gonna put it on the agenda.
Megan knows, I just told her, so yeah.
Well,
And I'll
even
give
in
you-
reality,
Yeah,
if you were approached today about the Council on Aging wanting to get on, yes, we know.
Hi, I just want to remind you, you were signed up 8:30?
Okay, we will wrap up no later than 8:45, is that all right? No
Yeah,
more?
because I got a lot of blocking up, but
Okay.
your time was down at 8:30, we're just told.
Okay.
Whoever signed up for it.
That was me. I'm
Okay.
sorry, we're running late.
Okay.
Apologies. Thank you.
Okay, so that's our 5-minute buzzer warning.
Yeah.
So the idea was, that could actually show up and be discussed under items not reasonably anticipated within 48 hours of the meeting. So it wouldn't show up on the agenda because it's a topic that needs to be discussed that we weren't aware that would, 48 hours in advance, so. But-
Today, you mean?
Yeah, if you
Oh.
were approached and wanted something on the agenda, it
Mhm.
could be discussed because,
would fall under that.
right, we could do that if it was
Discuss it.
pressing. It's
And-
not
Right, it's not
pressing, so
pressing,
it's
so
gonna
it-
show up in next month's agenda.
Right,
So-
exactly,
And then we
right.
could
Yes,
even
that's
discuss
right.
it to show up on,
And I can call her to remind her, you're coming on the next meeting, right? I can call her and just say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, because she's asked me, and I said, yes, come. I talked to Megan, and, okay.
so, and that would go under
So
new business.
here's what I'm gonna propose.
Okay.
What I'm gonna propose is, for next meeting, item 4EI, and we work through, this is kind of set up in a certain order for a reason, I think. Because one builds up the next, builds up the next. So let's first go to 4EI, and that'll be our 10 to 15, 20-minute discussion. Next,
At the top.
yep, at the
Yeah.
top, right after the minutes, before we get told it.
Discussion of
Ordinance.
COD role responsibilities, that one you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a good way to put it. So 4EI will be discussed, and then I think we'll work through them every month, because we'll build off it
Mhm.
It's 3 EI.
Yes.
Oh, three.
Make a motion to one EI and EI for a time, and next, the following month, in January, be EI two.
Yep.
So you're saying, then,
Yep, because these meetings are, there's a lot going on with certain items. If we can get to additional ones, we will, obviously. But I think if we focus on one at a time, we can definitely get through them and get through at least one. If we find that we have time, maybe it's something we can approach to do, like the next item 2. So, you know, if we have time and we're making progress. So, at least that's my thought.
I like it.
And then for an individual like Linda Hayes?
Linda Hayes,
So would that go under then new
new
business?
business.
town planning.
Yeah,
If she should come. She's gonna come.
Yeah,
So I'll make
and then
sure.
that would be pretty much, you know, we'd bump that to the top ultimately, or, you know, at least after we get through a couple of things. Get that done with the people in the public that are here to
Right.
do input, and then we move on to the rest of the agenda.
Okay.
At least that's my thought. So, okay. So, yeah.
So-
Before we adjourn, can I just skip back to when we went to the Disabilities Forum and agreed to have another annual forum? Can we put someone, or 2 people in charge of like getting this started? Because I'm ready to make the phone calls to get a place and find a date and come back and say, in December, what do you think of this date, doing it here? Like, just because things book up so fast in town. So, I move to appoint someone. I'm willing to take it on if you want to do it.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
Okay, so first of all, so you,
Well, I can't appoint myself. I'm
No, but
asking.
Yeah.
can we just make a motion that
Oh,
we
there you go.
continue with the group that did it last year?
Yes, I second. I don't know, I just don't understand. People, you know, I don't want to be jumped on for things that I don't say the right way, so. So, no, I would love to, start. Like, I want to start.
Go for it.
okay, so I'm fine with it, I just need to remember what just happened. So you want to start working on setting up the next.
I want to come back, I want to try to get a date.
Okay,
I want to
okay.
try to get
So
a
next-
date for next meeting to
Okay.
say, what do you all think about this date?
Do you want to start the legwork?
Yeah.
Potential-
And to do that,
And to
you
come
need to be
back.
officially in charge
Right.
of running with it.
So there's a motion?
Motion was by,
Volunteering.
seconded was by,
Yes.